Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. Good night. Good day. Good. Um, Happy Sunday to all of you. Today is the start of a new week. Today is March 6, 2022. We want to welcome all of you to SKTV. Welcome to you, your friends, and your family. We want to welcome all of you to SKTV. Today is another edition of the SKTV show. We want to welcome all of you at this time to the show. Today we we're going to be discussing Liberia, um, the role to the 2023 presidential election. Today in studio we will be having two guests along with our uh, usual panel or panelist, as you may term it, and we'll be having national discussions about things that are happening in the country. We'll be talking a lot about a lot of different things. We want to welcome all of you. Um, Today's the start of a new week, the 6th of March. We want to thank all of you for being tolerant and patient. Yesterday, we literally could not air. We could not, um, to be honest. I have not been too well. I'm doing well. I'm trying. I'm recuperating. Siku has been in and out, very, very busy with a lot of different things going on at once. Telco also has her schedule on Saturdays, on the weekends. I think for the past few weeks now, she's been caught up through all the afternoon, mornings to afternoons. So it's been a little difficult to get people to, run the show. But a lot of good things has been happening. I feel a lot better today. I'm a little strengthened. So we are committed to doing this. We are, um, in as much that I should have been, laying down, getting some rest, getting back, my strength and so forth. But we're here. We're here to do what we love. In as much that Liberia's situation can be very, very discouraging. Very discouraging, to be honest. Um, we have to still have these conversations. We are obligated. It's part of our responsibilities. There are some days that you know um, I really don't want to. There's some days I really don't want to talk about Liberia and the situation, but we have to. We have to. Let's reference the Liberian people as the most important people on earth. Let's reference the Liberian women as the most beautiful women on earth, as we always say, and that's what we believe. We want to say thank you to all of you. A lot of things going on, a lot of noise. I've been reading. Thank you for those of you who reach out to me. Um, in my inbox, you sent me text messages. You called. Some of you wish me speedy recovery. Some of you called to just check up. Why we are not on, what's going on. So booking. When some people call or they text, you know that they let plan or they let know because why they can say why you're not coming home. you know. But that shows that people are interested in the show. They're interested in the information they're committed. So sorry we didn't give you notice yesterday. We really thought we would have. You know. But just that call or that reminder, why are you not coming to the show? Why are you not coming to the show today? You know, sometimes it can be very funny when I read some of those messages or when I listen to them. I can just laugh. Say, God will fall out in that. But it's good though. Keep holding us accountable. It's the right thing to do. And sorry we didn't post yesterday that we're not going to air. You know, a lot of things were going on at once. So yes, definitely we're on today. We're grateful to be alive. Today's a beautiful Sunday. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Like that song for the kids. I want to welcome all of you to SKTV. We have a lot. I got a message that the life is not clear. I'm not sure. Please let me know if you can see me clearly. Sorry. I'm cleaning up my webcam here to make sure that. Sorry. I hope it's much better now. I really do hope so. Please give me feedback. Please give me feedback if you can, if it's clear. We have one of our guests already here. We're ready to go. So please give me feedback if it's clear, if it's much better. I'm not sure. I think maybe it's the anything from that end would probably be the internet. The slow of the internet is, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't think I should have even come this place. I should have just left where I was to do the show. I should have left at home to do it from there. So let me know if it's clear, if it's much better, if it's not blurry. Please let me know. Let me get feedback from you before we move forward to playing our music and sharing the show really quick and get started. We need to get started. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot to talk about. Please, today, disagree with us as much as you want. But let's be respectful of one another, especially of our guests or people that will contribute. Okay, I see Segu. Segu saying you're good, buddy. All right. Okay, good feedback. Good feedback then. Yes, so we're expecting Seku, based on his location. I'm not going to disclose it. If he's available, he'll be on. You know, Telco also. I know she and I spoke not too long ago. She'll be on. So yes, we'll get this conversation started. A lot to cover, a lot to talk about, please. So we're gonna go straight to our quick musical break here and share the show. No copyright to the song that's going to be playing here, or the music video, or however you want to term it. Let's share the show as much as we can. Serious discussions, and we'll tell you some of the things that we'll be talking about here momentarily once we get back. Let's have some serious discussion. Today, I want to play best. I want to play best, Steve. Segu, you need to text me what thing I should play. You and tell you need to text me. I should play bestie. You know what? Today will be peaceful when I play no bestie or whatever it is.
Feel
some people said the feed is much better. Want to thank all of you for being here. Sorry we might not be able to share the show or so forth. We might not be able to recognize you. I mean, sorry. Um, we are following the live feed as well. Um, we definitely want to thank you for being on. And today, like I said earlier, we have a lot to discuss. We will run through one or two names here really quick. Josh Saki Jr., welcome. Life Fofana, welcome. Is that Shelk? Faya, welcome. Prince, welcome. Randall, Twezama, welcome. Samantha, welcome. Seku, welcome. Una so call and say on the show. Seku. Randolph, welcome. Seku will be here very soon. Mr. Kana will be here soon. Koke Dodo, welcome. You're asking where is Mistress Blind? We've answered that question before, so we'll not repeat ourselves. Sorry if you weren't here, but she is not here today. For your short answer, Glendale, welcome. Alvina, welcome. Rosalind Dix, welcome. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. Today, we have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. Like I said earlier on, we have lots of things to cover. So let's look at some of the highlights, some of the things that we will be covering on here today. Let's look at it really quick. Oh, just to remind you, I was dancing in the back. I know some of you didn't see me dancing that song, but I was dancing in the back. Today, we're going to talk about the latest communication that came out from the Liberty Party that is circulating on Facebook. There was a communication that came out. We're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it, what it means, whether that's for the ANC, for the Liberty Party itself, for the Liberian people at large. We're going to analyze it. We're going to try to give you some inside scoop about what's really going on. I know you might have heard some rumors or some things from other people, other networks, and so forth, but we want to bring you some, different perspectives and views and some inside scoops as well. We also are going to talk about what's going on with LEC. We've seen most recently, disgracefully, we have members of the ECOWAS Parliament that showed up to us, and we're saying Labro, current go or current went, no current. Is in as much as it sounds funny, it's very disgraceful. It's very shameful for countries such as Liberia, and for people of us who are Liberians, proud Liberians. It's a disgrace to all of us. It's a shame to all of us that we got all this big mouth as Liberians. We can't even hold electricity in our country when our friends come to visit us. Very embarrassing. We'll talk about it. We'll also talk about the gas shortage in Liberia most recently. We'll talk about the gas shortage as to whether this is in collaboration with what's going on in Ukraine, or this was in the woodwork, or this was something that is maybe pushed or exacerbated by, Liberians or our leaders. We'll talk about it. We'll also talk about some of the things Minister Twes said, especially concerning the state of the economy in the country. Minister Samuel Ditwe, as you are aware, he's known for intellectualizing the sufferings of the Liberian people, spewing lies in public, and so forth. So we'll talk about some of these things. Minister Samuel Ditwe and other government officials are known for that. This is a public record. It's not a secret. We also want to talk about, who's enabling the rape, domestic abuse, and so forth in Liberia. Who's enabling it? Is this restricted to family members? Is this restricted to the government, or who's really enabling it? What's really going on? That being said, we'll bring our first guest on here, who is not a stranger to all of us. Chairman Ibrahim Judah. Chairman?
Hey, what's this? What's up,
Yes,
my
sir.
man?
Welcome to the show. Yeah, my man.
Not
Everything
bad.
going
How
on?
you doing, man? I mean, I'm outside the deal because the weather's so good. I can't afford to be inside, so I hope my background is okay.
Yes. Your background looks okay. It looks like the weather is doing you guys well over there.
Certainly, man. The weather is for the weekend. It's been so great. Like it appears like we in Liberia. So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
the weather just yeah. The weather is you can even wear your short pants and be outside for the whole day. Yeah,
So that means
the weather.
that means that we get Acapulco West in the States.
That one
Yeah,
I nothing. That one I nothing to toss at.
Acapulco just West in the town. Oh
You know now.
wow.
When you get good, whatever you need to do, it just that all you need to do. That's all.
Yeah. What? Wow. But you're in
Yeah,
Alabama, right?
yeah, in Alabama, yeah, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, yeah,
And you guys do normally experience tornado and stuff like that at
yeah,
this
yeah,
time of
yeah.
the year.
Now one of our issues here in the state of Alabama, we get to it when it comes through, man, it can be bad. Yeah, the horse can be sometimes down, flat to the ground. Yeah, it can. Yeah, that's one of the
Yes.
issues we have. Yeah.
I think there's a state I just forgotten the name that experienced either tornado or hurricane, not hurricane, tornado or something these few days. I think 4 or 6 people died in that.
I think
So
I think I seen it in the between Tennessee and Huntsville, Alabama. That's a state. That's a city. Not a state, but it's a city there. I just forgot the name of the city. Yeah, but they got hit badly by the tornado. I mean, it's always come through.
yes,
I don't know why, but it always come through here. And then when it comes through, it can be really, really bad because I volunteer for the state as well to we'll have these different tornado when it comes through, and then the houses get destroyed. We just go there and then rebuild the houses through the state, rebuild the houses, and get them the furnitures and everything else from the ground level straight to roof level. So yeah, but I mean that's one of the bigger issues in Huntsville, Alabama. We have in not even Huntsville, Alabama alone, but in the entire Alabama areas. Yeah, particularly the south,
okay,
the down south area in our area. Those and when the tornado comes through, they can be really, really bad. It can sweep through. I mean, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 houses. That's what it does most time when it comes through. If it's not that severe, it can just hit, take out the roof of the houses, the trees, knock the trees down, the houses, and yeah, it can be bad. It can be really, really bad out here. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
thank you for the update. Yes, I was reading it sometimes early this morning, some kind of article about it. I was very concerned. I was like, oh wow, this is going on. But
Mhm.
long story short, let's get to Liberia. But before we get to Liberia, let's get to updates on Ukraine and what's going on with Russia. Any updates from your end, because I've been following as well.
Yeah, man. I know that the peace talk didn't hold. It hasn't been. In fact, I'm told that I saw on the news that Russia they didn't live up to the peace agreement. So they moved 450,000 troops to the borders, and so again they started to launch. They started to go take an air raid and all that. So the peace agreement is not holding. Um, I know the president of Ukraine has expressed his frustration about the U.S. and the NATO allies' intervention into Ukraine. I mean, into the crisis. And I know he got already to be frustrated. So and of course the humanitarian crisis continued to worsen by the day. I was just reading on the news this morning that most of the humanitarian institution organizations are finding it difficult to get to the people. And of course, Poland borders continue to be polarized um, by refugees from Ukraine. So I mean, it's a difficult crisis. Siku, my brother, how you doing, man? Been a long time.
No, How you doing, bro?
See the man appear fresh from the man came from Dubai or somewhere. The man appear fresh. You see the man look at that.
How many
Yeah,
people,
man, but you know, overall, man, the crisis we we just hope that, man, the crisis, you know, because we know, and Moses, we benefited, we we were you know how we also became member of the we also when the crisis in Liberia took place, you know how some of us, for me, I suffered a lot, and I know all of us got some stories, you know, to explain about the crisis in Liberia when it happened. How Buddha were flying over our heads, how we had to be in the city, you know, how to be in the basement, and all those kinds of things. You know, nobody wants a crisis. What happened in Ukraine? And what is amazing to me, and have never seen it, all the crises I've read about around the world, World War One, I mean, two, all the crises I've read, I've never seen the resilience of people from Ukraine so much so resilient like that. I mean, I saw the crowd, people standing in front of armored vehicles, demand and stopping those vehicles from intruding into the territory. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It takes resilience. It takes courage. It takes commitment. It takes patriotism to do the things that the people do. I just hope that, you know, that kind of patriotism, that kind of resilience could just translate into Liberia. That people can just march to the capital building and say nobody entering here until we see what's into the capital building audited, and nobody's gonna leave this building until, you know, they invite the Minister of Finance to tell them what the gas prices and going on. And there's a lot of things that we can proactively can take, you know, decisions. Look at the people in Ukraine, in the midst of guns, in the midst of air raid. Yes, the people remain resilient, and they continue to prove and demonstrate that they are patriots. And my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine, and there's some of the amazing work they do in order to stop the invasion of Russia into their country.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Dore. Thank you so much. The resilience, the tenacity, the resolve of the people of Ukraine. Mr. Kane, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm not too sure of my signal. I don't know if it's clear, but from my end here, my internet doesn't look good to me. I don't know how
it keeps sticking.
Yeah, okay.
It keeps sticking.
It's keep coming. Yeah, going back.
Yeah, so I want you to take care of that. Then I will come back.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Yes, the resolve. You put it right, Mr. Dore. Chairman Dore, you put it right. The resolve, the tenacity of the people of Ukraine has not been seen for years or heard about. You know, yes, we've seen civil rights movements when Martin Luther King and other guys were so resolved, and they were at a stage where there's nothing could stop them. Yes, the people of Ukraine are resolved, with or without the help of outsiders. They are resolved. A lot of things going on in Ukraine. Yes, you and I wish the Liberian people would stand up for themselves. And because of the tenacity and the willpower to want to stand up for themselves from the Ukrainians, it has drawn attention to them, and they have gotten so much support around the world, from sports to entertainment to businesses. You know, other countries are standing in solidarity with them, and the world at large seem to, just because of the resilience. It reminds me of most recently when the representative that went to Liberia during the bicentennial that spoke. It was more of a signal to the Liberian people that, listen, we're not stepping in until you get to that point where you're
Moses, you see, this is it. You know, and you just put it right. You know, sometimes as I was listening to your intro, you know, and I said, this is the thing that we, you know, as Liberians, you know, sometimes you want to give up. And before I even go forward, let me say my hearts out to every Liberians who on the Blue app, particularly you, Moses, and Sekou, and Tel, you know, and everybody else who making strive to just highlight Liberia issues out there, in spite of the inconsistency, instead of the inability of our people to take the mantle of authority into their own hands and encourage those who are fighting day in, day out to highlight the issues confronting Liberia by our leaders, our bad leaders in the country. I just want to say my hats up to everybody, man. It takes, sometimes you don't, like you said, sometimes you feel tired, sometimes you feel emboldened by all of the things going on. Sometimes you just feel like you don't have any reason to even to be highlighting Liberia issue out there, but you just say, what, I'm just gonna do the best I can, because I love my country, I'm a patriot, and my heart is out there for Liberia. I love my country in spite of all that is going on. So let me just say my heart to everybody, man, who on the blue which one going to do the best way, one way or the other, highlight the issues confronting Liberia. And to the point, Moses, like I said, Liberians. Imagine people take. I don't know what can we compare the resilience of the Ukrainians to that of the days of Martin Luther King and other people. I'm finding it difficult to even find, because imagine the people took the man took his wife and his kids and take them to the border to Poland. Then he leaves them there, hug them, cry in tears. He said, "I gotta go back and fight for my country, and defend my country." The wife and that little girl don't even know that whether the husband or the father are going to return. But all he knows is that he cannot allow Russia to invade his country. So he must go back and go fight. And just imagine that for a second. Just imagine that for a second. When the war happened in Liberia, all of us found a way to exit the country. All of us found a way to be able to, even though that was not an invasion, it's a contrast there, but all of us found a way to, to leave the country. Even with the things happening in the country, with the bad leadership in the country, with people not taking pay, the bad health system, the bad education system, and the rape issue in the country, the killing in the country, all of the different issues. You don't even see one civil society organization say, let's stand up, let's take a proactive action, let's march to the Capitol building. The Capitol building, people have been all there for, 15, 20 years. The people sit right there. Right? Wow. They sit right there. The executive mansion is completed. But how much millions and millions of dollars was spent on that accountability? But nobody can stand up in our country to say, let's take the government on. We tired with this thing here. It's about the life of our country. So I will keep talking about the Ukrainian. My hats out to them, because they are a pure definition of patriotism. They are patriotic human beings that you can ever imagine on this planet. I've never seen anything like that before in the world. What they're doing in Ukraine. They continue to do it every single night. They don't care whether they die or not. So my hats up to the Ukrainians, man. My hats up to the Ukrainians. Yeah.
Today, the conversation, I just want to remind our viewers and our listeners that the conversation today could spill over to tomorrow if we run out of time. Just bear that in mind. Mr. Kane will be joining us back here very soon. He's getting his internet set up and other stuff. But the bigger picture here today is the road to 2023, which is the election, the road to 2023. Everything that you see is like the way we can say, we who play football, we who know about football, we who understand football, we say the road to the finals or the road to
Hatai.
Oh yeah, let her
Yeah, but also serious note, everything we see in play, whether you like it or not, it's gearing towards 2023. And so with that being said, since you and Mr. Kane here today, let me, Mr. Chairman, let's look at what do you make of the communication of the LP yesterday, because there are 3 highlighted points. What do you make of it? What does it say to you?
Well, I will start from the first and foremost. Let me lay the basis first. 2023 is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult, and it's becoming difficult by the minute. And it becoming drama interesting by the minute, right? Because we saw the CPP, and we saw Unity Party leaving and ALP leaving. And of course, all of us know that Liberty Party and the ANC, they are all good friends, on the other end. So we thought, the thinking is that these two political parties would have by now be going and reaching out to other political parties, to form part of the ranks, so that at the end of the day, 2023, can be an interesting project. Because mind you now, whatever they do, it's about making it to the second round. So the ANC and the Liberty Party, they will do everything possible to get people that ACO and get other institutions that have got the numbers to get in on the side, and it became a force ahead and begin to have some serious conversation about who they can bring on board, who they can, trust in the process, what are the deals they can make, what do they want, what does ACO want, or what do these people want, what can they offer as a bargaining chip, before they can come to the process, and all of these things. So I thought that at this point, we would not be talking about, Liberty Party going to revisit her decision, rather to be forcing a common front of solidarity and serious and vigorous, outreach to all of the different, political parties that got 0.5%, 0.25%, 0.625, or, all the different percentage, or reach to other, the outreach to other influential, individuals who have the number, like former representative candidates, former people who are popular in the country, who can attract the votes. I thought now that we'll be reaching out to these people, to make them to form part of the ranks and file of the process. That's one theory. Another theory is that, well, if you put in the letter out there for some strategic movement or some strategic happening, right, is dangerous for the process. And why is it dangerous? The uptake is sent to voters, to the Liberian voters. Remember now, the Liberian voters are now facing with fatigue of the whole CPP thing. So they try coming from that fatigue of the whole CPP thing and the UP and the AVP leaving the Liberty Party and ANC. Now Liberty Party now is taking a back step. We're going to review, taking our decision back to our national executive coming to the convention to review. It sends a bad signal. Whatever the strategy is, whatever implicit thinking that might have gone to that process, it sends a bad signal to the voters, it sends a bad signal to the country and to the political landscape. Because if you do that, and then you come back, who knows what's going to happen play. That's another theory. The third theory, which I'm about to say, is that I'm not sure what Mr. Cummings had a prior discussion with Musa Ability, or they had a prior discussion with the LP. Because if he did, and he has shown Musa Ability that where you're going to be number 2, or you're going to be a number 2 man on the ticket, that means prior to if he told Musa Ability you'll be number 2, and Musa Ability takes that at face value, then Mr. Cummings is in trouble, because then he did not calculate well. So if he did, because in the game of politics, you can have a discussion, but at the end, you can be definitive until you get to that point. I'm not saying you can't make a concession, but you gotta weigh all the variables, because you take it or you leave it. Musa Bede is not out there spending all his money in Niba County, a rich vote county. He's not out there doing all the things he's doing for nothing. Take it or you leave it. Musa Bede wants to be something. He wants to be president or vice president of the country. So whether you like it or not, you can't be coming up front to say, oh, if you had a discussion with him, then you got to live up to that commitment. If you didn't have a discussion with him, it is incumbent upon Cummings to play a leadership role to manage Bedete expectation, going to the table. Bedete, yeah, I know you've been doing all these things so forth. Because it's the Liberty Party and ANC, we're trying to bring all the people on board. I'm trying to manage your expectation. What can we do? Do we do this? Do we do X, Y, Z? What do you want? So now you're managing his expectation. But if you don't do that, and Bedete gets out of hand, then it becomes dangerous for the ANC and Mr. Cummings' bid. So I don't want to.
So, Chairman, today what we'll do, sorry for interrupting you. What we'll do, we'll take these 3 bullet points one at a time and address them from a strategic standpoint, like you've already done with the first point. So once we're done with your first point, once you make your case on the first point, we welcome Mr. Ansoni here and then turn to him, and Sekou will be the last to speak on this.
So he must say we on speaking turn right now. That may ban me.
So in your point, please, in your thought, I'm very sorry for interrupting. In your thought on this first point.
I mean, I just lay out the 4 theories, right? One is dangerously putting this communication out there. It doesn't speak well for the Labour Party ANC collaboration and vis-a-vis the Liberian the voters as well. And then the second is that Water Coming had a concession with Ability, and Coming is kind of reneging on that concession, for which now it's coming public, because in any case, Ability, I mean the Labour Party, they're not going to suffer. They're not going to be a victim in this process. They want something. So if ANC didn't see that coming, well, that's a dangerous politics. The third is that, listen, we have this process that is playing all around the place. If the ANC, if people around Cummings and all of the other people, if they don't know that this process is critical, 2020 is critical, then they must start to think, get back in that seat and start to think very, very well. Because the last thing they ever want to do is for Biddy to slip out of their arm, and then the whole thing go into disarray. So
thank you, Chairman. Quickly, thank you, Chairman. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you for the second point. Quickly, we want to welcome Mr. Sia. Mr. Sia, welcome to SKTV.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're not a stranger here. Really quick, I want to go over the first bullet point for our talking point here today. And sorry, I didn't go over it for the chairman. We just asked him a broader question. But let's go over the first bullet point. Yesterday, a press release was done by the Liberty Party. And this is the official Liberty Party. It's not the Senator Yombly or Stephen Zago's camp. This is the official Liberty Party that is recognized in Liberia by NEC and the Liberian government at large. So this was the statement. This was the press release. A press release. I will just read the very first one. They came out with several. They met, according to them, and the executive committee met yesterday, and they came out with certain decisions. One of the decisions that they came out with, or issues that they wanted to address, was, it states here: 1, LP relationship with the Alternative National Congress, which is ANC. During its December 2021 special convention, the LP resolved to endorse the candidacy of Mr. Alexander B. Cummings, standard bearer of the ANC. As the standard bearer of the ANC, as the standard bearer of the collaborating political party, which is CPP. So LP said they were endorsing as that, subject to the execution of the memorandum of understanding between the LP and the ANC, outlining the agreement reached and preferred to the LP Special National Convention for approval. To date, which is up until yesterday and today, we have not been able to successfully consummate the relationship by executing the MOU, and are duty bound to report back to the special convention from which the mandate derived and seek further direction in regard. Mr. Ansoni CA, based on what was read, maybe I made a mistake in our reading. You, from your understanding, what do you make of this communication? This aspect of this communication. Please keep in mind our broader topic today: the road to 2023. What do you make of it?
The road to 2023
You're welcome.
is in full swing. The political parties with interest are there because of power. Even the insignificant ones who know that they don't.
What's that?
What are you holding? He doesn't even remember that he's holding something. Get him.
Mute yourself, folks, if you're not talking.
Sorry, Steve, you are muted. Myself, I was speaking and I was muted. I just realized that. Sorry about that, folks. So I was saying let us first establish that 2023 or the road to 2023 is in full swing. And any or every political party therein, whether insignificant or not in terms of numbers, whether there is any possibility in any shape and form, they are there for something. And that thing is power. They want a piece of the pie. So any action, decision, collaboration, anything in that regard is intended for them to be part of a government that may possibly be elected, in this case from the opposition camp. So is the Liberty Party. And the Liberty Party, to its credit, based on my own assessment of the political parties in Liberia, is by far the third largest political party. I would think Unity Party and the CDC will be 1 and 2, followed by the Liberty Party and the ANC to be number 4. That is my calculation. And I may totally be off here. So this is the Liberty Party, through its chairman, Musa Hassan Belete, has been playing very faithfully in favor of Mr. Cummings. He and Mr. Cummings had a good relationship. He has sacrificed a lot. He has done everything, to sway the Liberty Party to Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings. And for him to cement that at a special convention, the special national convention, they call it according to their statement there, they make a move to endorse Mr. Cummings for the candidacy of the now defunct CPP. That was a big move. He did that in disagreement with Nyomli, DeLong, who are leaders in the party, and other leaders within the party. They had their own fight. And legally speaking, he won that fight and secured that endorsement. Now, the danger with that endorsement is that in as much as it does not have the full blessing of the key players in that party, you understand, it does not have the weight that it should have had. But Musa succeeded, or the Musa side succeeded, and that will be considered as an endorsement, and it will be dismissed by the other side. We understand that. So what stopped Mr. Cummings and the ANC from signing on that memorandum of understanding that was reached after that endorsement, according to their words, to consummate the deal? What stopped ANC from doing that? But further in the communication, they said they are looking at the upcoming convention to report, to take further step in that direction. I mean, they said in that regard. That means that they are still looking for the opportunity for the ANC to agree for them to consummate the deal, because the language said further in that direction, same regard, right? So they are not deviating. So they are still hoping that the ANC will come around. But Doda says something that is important here. Why would they pull the ANC on notice here publicly in this particular official statement? Given the relationship they had all along, why would they go public with this? It means that they are sensing some frustration they are outlining here. Look, I mean, we can't have sacrificed this much for you. We did all of this for you because you are our interest politically. And then you will sit there and not come up with to sign on this deal so that what we want can be materialized. This was a little more of a frustration. So the ANC needs to answer questions here. What stopping the ANC from signing on the memorandum of understanding? We need to find out. And that is what we can all speculate here, and we will not be able to pinpoint what it is. Now, I will now speculate politically. Many of us have bashed the ANC for doing business with a Liberty Party faction when the Liberty Party is in trouble. Is the ANC saying that now we do not want to continue on the same path when we've been criticized for doing business with one side of the Liberty Party? Is that the reason why the ANC is holding back? If that is the ANC reason, then the ANC actually is not reading the realities. Because no matter what the ANC does, that arm of the Liberty Party that is not for it may never come around at all. So you want to have what you can possibly get. The assure of the Liberty Party that is controlled by Musa Hassan Belete, which legally speaking is the legitimate Liberty Party. Why you don't want to take that? I will stop there.
Thank you, Mr. C. Well, Mr. Kane?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to everyone for coming on here, especially to my good friend Anthony C. and my brother here, Mr. Dode.
The man say you're not speaking to me.
No, the man will speak to you. Don't worry about that. The man just want to hear from you. So
yeah, the man want to consummate the friendship.
So the man want you guys to revisit the friendship,
Right.
and
the men are politicians. Me, I won't be in the media. I won't be friends with the politicians.
and read
Well,
the
I said the politician can be friendly with. That's not. Oh yeah.
So folks, I want to say thank you to all of us here. I'm talking about people following us. You know, listening to the two of you guys, the two great guys on here, I was just smiling and enjoying, your analysis on the issue. I just have a few observations.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, this was not, as far as we know, this was not a collaboration between ANC and the Liberty Party. This was Liberty Party endorsing the standard bearership of Alexander Cummings. And should there be any memorandum of understanding, I think this should have been concluded, agreed upon, signed behind the scene before even coming publicly to endorse. Because you have to endorse somebody based on something. This is politics. Nothing is free. Everybody doing something for a reason, for interest. So I believe this particular move and the way I'm looking at it, I think it's more, I don't know how you have to put it. I think it's something like people trying to buy public sentiment. In a sense, Musa Belete has been considered by many people of being a lone soldier carrying the Liberty Party on his head. So I believe this move by the Liberty Party is somehow to reassure the public that they are not a bunch of pushover, just following Musa Belete to wherever he takes them, that whatever happened, they want to reassure the public that this is just my own understanding of this whole thing. Like, this is not just Musa Belete taking Liberty Party any way he wants to take it. That the fight here is not even about Musa Belete and Yombly. This is the Liberty Party as an institution trying to reassure the public that this is not just Musa Belete, this is the Liberty Party. And should there be any agreement, any formal agreement, if I will, it must be signed by the Liberty Party. If there is any agreement, any discussion behind the scene, it must be done by the Liberty Party, not Musa Belete. So I don't think Mr. Cummings will be in his right mind and renege on anything that has to do with Musa Ability and the ANC and the Liberty Party, given what they have gone through for the past few months. And I said it last time, if you're gonna burn a house just for your neighbor to survive, I don't know, how you thinking. So for me, what I'm thinking is that Liberty Party stay the Liberty Party, I believe. Liberty Party and ANC, they're not going to fall apart by any means, I believe. What I'm thinking, by the way, when this thing came up, we reached out to Musa Ability. So right before we started the show, we were trying to work on a date for him to come on. So he suggested, can we do Tuesday? Normally we don't do a show on Tuesday. But because Musa Ability is supposed to come here sometime last week or the week before,
Yes.
so we will accommodate him because the public want to know exactly what's going on. So, and I responded, I didn't even consult the person doing the scheduling, Steve, and everything, because I know we have nobody scheduled for Tuesday. So I told him, well, we can do Tuesday, and I will let the team know. So we can add, subtract, spin, and do whatever we want to do right now. But the person that can come and just put ice on the cake is Musa Ability. So for me, actually, I don't want to buy into this too much as, maybe there's something going on, ANC and Liberty Party about to fall apart and stuff. I don't think so. I think this is trying to reassure the public. I want you to focus on something, on that paper, that communication. That communication, they said, the following people, the starting point of that particular one, they said expulsion. But then they said following people.
No, we get to that part, yo. We get to the last part, yo. Don't go ahead of our baby. We get to the last part.
Okay.
We get there. We take it one by one.
Okay. So for me, reading the whole thing and understanding the Liberian politics, I believe ANC and the Liberty Party stay together, and they're going to be together. This is going to be a long marriage, I believe. Because here's the thing. Liberty Party want to make fun out of themselves. Are you telling me you did not agree with anything? You didn't have any formal agreement as to what you're getting yourself into? Or you agree with, okay, yeah, I'm in it, or all in it, then later on talk about what is in it for me? I don't think so. I think this is something that they want to reassure the public. You may think this is about Musa Ability. You may think this is Musa Ability versus Yombli Kanga Lawrence, but no, this is Liberty Party. In fact, we have to come public to tell you what we will do. If you think that whatever happened before in our special convention, we will make sure we come back again to let you know that this is not just behind the scene deal, but Musa Ability single-handedly taking the Liberty Party and give it to ANC. And this is going to be a deal done by the Liberty Party as an institution, not individual cutting, the cake behind the scene just because what benefit them. And I want to say this about Musa Ability ambition. When Mr. CSA, I think Mr. Dode or one of you say Musa Ability did not get just into this thing for nothing. He might want something for presidency or vice presidency. I can say this for a fact. I think Musa Ability for vice president or not can support Commies based on what I know. I don't think that would be the only option for Musa Belete, or the only reason for Musa Belete to support Commies, simply because he wants to be vice president. I don't think so. But again, I could be wrong. But my understanding, and based on what I know, I think Musa Belete and the Liberty Party, their endorsement of Mr. Commies for the standard bearership for the CPP, I think is well calculated. And they're just trying to reassure the public that this is not Musa Belete doing this all by himself. This is the Liberty Party doing it. But again, trust me, this just getting started. And I'm all for it. I'm just sitting by and watching and enjoying, the theater. At the end of the day, Mr. Dode, Anthony C.A., myself, and everybody else, we love this, right? We let us sit here and have this kind of discussion. So it's very, very, very important.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Well, let me throw my 1 cent in there before we can go to the second conversation here, because it's important for us to put all of these things into perspective today before we move further. The road to 2023, it's surprising, it's rocky, but there seems to be some steadiness or some focus from some majority members within the opposition. Again, the road is rocky, it's betraying, it's frustrating, it's annoying, but there seems to be some steadiness, some focus from some members within the opposition and just a majority of the group of the people. And as time goes by, we will see the different people who are aligning to make this road, whether tricky, whether betraying, whether rocky. As time goes by in the next few weeks, some of them will come out from behind the doors. But this is why I want to speak about this whole thing. The first thing I want to say about this first part of the memorandum, whoever wrote this first part, this number 1, has been around. They understand how to communicate with the public. They understand also not to want to give 100%, but also leave people hanging to create the kind of anxiety, to create this kind of panic, fear, or so forth. But at the very end of this writing, this very first part, it's very powerful. It's very interesting. First of all, I was looking up the word consummate, what it means, because we, the country people, we know what some of the BB words mean. it simply means to seal, or to complete. That's what it means. So, but when I read this communication, the other thing I look at also is, it didn't state here that this was an ANC problem, though. It didn't state that there was an ANC problem. And the way I know that this was not an ANC problem or part of the deal was the fact that the writer states that the Liberty Party, from that special convention they have not been able to make sure that this memorandum of understanding came into full agreement or so forth. Now, and I support this by, mind you, the Liberty Party, even in the midst of this special convention, they have serious crisis. There has been serious division within the Liberty Party. So that means, in other words, all parties might not have agreed 100% to this decision that was made, which is fair. Maybe some agree, some did not agree. The Liberty Party in itself, from this part of this communication, they are trying to ensure that they prioritize the party first, to bring the party together, for them to have a uniformed communication. That does not mean that this memorandum of understanding is out of the door. That's not what it means. As evidenced by that, when you look at the very last sentence here, this is what it states. The very last sentence. To date, we have not been able to successfully consummate the relationship by executing the MOU, and are duty bound to report to the LP convention. Remember, the convention that brought this particular memorandum of understanding was a special one. It was not the convention. Does that mean that they have a plain convention very soon? That's a question that the chairman will be able to answer on here. But here is the part that caught my attention. From which the mandate derived. Now, they are going to seek this convention to determine if they will move further. Now, people shouldn't be panicking, to be very honest. If I were a member of the ANC, or if I were Mr. Cummings or so forth, I wouldn't be panicking about this communication, to be very honest. I think, in my honest view, the Liberty Party did the right thing. They did the right thing by letting know the public that, yes, on a special convention, they came out with something. They are accountable. They have not been able to meet up with this thing. So they're going back to their convention and decide what they want to do going forward. But they didn't take this particular
let me just throw in just one second.
Yes, go ahead.
You know, this whole idea of public sentiment or reassuring, the public, you have to understand that Musa Ability and the team and the executive committee, they have the legal, aspect. They can win the legal battle,
right?
But to win the minds of the people,
yes,
the conventional wisdom is that you only get the support of the people of Grand Bassa County. Oh, DeLong is the most popular person in the party. In order to also get the people, because you can get the party, you can get a document, but it means nothing if you have no constituents, right? So in order to get the people's support, I believe the Liberty Party is trying to show that picture to the people to say, hey, this is not just Musa Ability. This is the Liberty Party. As a matter of fact, for them to even come this way to speak with this authority, that is to reconsolidate their position to say, hey, Liberty Party, you may think the Liberty Party is fighting among ourselves, but we are even stronger, or we are even stronger and ready to go. But we need you. We need you to come around. We need your support. It's not just about Musa Ability, it's about all of us. So just to sell the idea, to the people, to say, you know what, we can have the paperwork as Liberty Party, but we need the people too. So what can they do? They have to invite the people in the process. I just wanted to add that there. I think this is like a reaching out to the people of the Liberty Party. It's not just the leadership now. Trying to tell the people, say, you know what, we might have done this at a special convention. But in order for it to be solidified, to be clear and completed, you have to be involved. That can only be done by the General Assembly, the regular one, not the special one.
And you know what's interesting about this too also, that we need to pay attention to? The national convention is not too far away. So are they seeking the opportunity to get to the national convention to seal this deal, to ensure that it is done with the acquiescence of the people, wherein now we're not here about Stephen Zago and other people bouncing around and cleaning the Liberty Party, because it is clear now that they cannot clean it. So you see, this is a strategic move. And I don't think people should be mad or people should be upset or run to any kind of decision. You can't afford to make emotional mistakes in politics. You got to be very careful. But we want to move to the second segment here, because it will get interesting as we go forward.
And finally, if I may, Steve, let me agree that what you said is 100% true, that if you read the first segment of the press statement there, they are talking about Liberty Party. What they started at the national, they call it special national convention. Exactly. When they had endorsed comments. And then that further translated into a memorandum of understanding. And that memorandum of understanding should have been consummated, because what they said, their relationship with the ANC. So they are narrating, we started a process at a convention, we endorsed comments. That endorsement needed not just to be in MOF, we needed to translate it into a deal. Exactly. That deal having to be the memorandum of understanding. And when we say memorandum of understanding, is an agreement between two parties to sign. So the ANC needed to sign, they too needed to sign. But if you look at the way the communication is written here, they are saying from our end, the Liberty Party, we need to make sure this particular agreement is consummated because they initiated it.
Thank you.
So it is upon them to ensure that it is completed. Yes. So they are saying now we have a convention that is coming. Since we did not do that, you understand, even after the first convention, we need to make sure it is done while we are going to convention or at the convention. That is why they said, and let me read that language there quite clearly. They said that to date, we have not been able to successfully consummate the relationship by executing the MOU and are duty bound to report to the Liberty Party Special National Convention,
right,
from which the mandate derived. So their mandate was derived from that convention, and they need to report. So they need to do that, right? And then seek further direction. Further, they didn't say different direction.
Exactly.
They're going to see line. And they went further by saying in this regard. So they are saying we are staying on course. With the endorsement that was translated into a memorandum of understanding that we did not finalize, we have to get it done this time, and if possible, at the upcoming convention.
Most definitely.
But the reason earlier, in the ANC aspect, ANC needed to sign. So if I'm ANC, okay, this guy working on something for me, decide that it's not for me and not going to come around anytime soon. So let me get what I want. Let me sign. Let me push them and say, look, you endorse me. What's the memorandum of understanding? I want to sign so that this thing can be beyond us for us to focus on something else.
But so maybe the ANC already signed. You don't know.
And Anthony and Sekou just put it rightly, right? Those of us who have political eyes will see through the lenses of the letters and everything else that comes from Liberty Party, right? But the people themselves who are the voters, they don't understand all of the different analysis we're giving. They don't even understand it, right? Even some of them who even understand it, the emotions tend to drive them in a different direction and make some analysis in respect to what is unfolding and express that disgust about it. But when I started my premise, I said, this is strategic, right? This is strategic. And of course, we know that nobody wants to, in there, especially got a few months to elections, and you know, Bility will want to divulge himself with the ANC to go from another political party or go join another political party. That would be catastrophic. I mean, he wouldn't want to do that. Politically, that would be killing, right? So you wouldn't want to do that, you know. But again, it's the fact that the update is sent to the voter who are already weary of, already tired and fatigued of the CPP divulge thing, and then coming back to what's happening in the Liberty Party. Of course, all of us on this panel will know that. Well, that's not Liberty Party not going anywhere. They're going to be here. You know, in fact, it's going to further strengthen the collaboration between the ANC and the Liberty Party by bringing other people on board. Take for instance, ACO or other people that are out there who needs to join the train, to join the train on this process. You know, so it's almost like a benefit move for the ANC, a benefit move for the ANC and for for the Liberty Party and this process that we on that's going to moving forward to 2023 on this in this process. So I mean, but for those out there, it's a different interpretation. What happened again? We just witnessed Joseph Boakai, ALP leaving, the collaboration. Then we see Liberty Party again. What happening? We start with the thing now, So those are the kind of things that we, that we'll be seeing for the days coming, the weeks coming, and so forth and so on. But for us from out here, we know exactly what the issues are, and we know Liberty crew not going anywhere. We're going to be in this thing together.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, let's move on as we proceed into the road to 2023. The road is a noisy road. But let's get to the second part of this. Let's get to the second part of this communication. Let me read it really quick. Liberty Party relationship with the CPP. this is another aspect that we have to explore. With the withdrawal of all Liberian Party, the LP, and the United Party from the collaborating political party, the LP will be reviewing its relationship with the CPP and exploring all options available forward. I mean, the LP assured the public that it remains committed to ensuring that the objectives of the opposition are achieved, and that these objectives will be paramount in any Liberty Party discussion and decisions. The Liberty Party NEC has also voted to take this issue to the LP Special National Convention to be deliberated, convention for deliberation and direction. What do you make of this, Mr. CA? Before we come to Chairman Dore, and then Sekou will be the last on this. What do you make of this?
Thank you. So again, this is the Liberty Party trying to give us a sense of its decision going forward, given what has happened in the CPP. They talk about the departure of the ALP. They talk about the departure of the Unity Party. And in the CPP now, we have only two parties left. The Liberty Party now and the ANC are the only two parties left. So ALP as a political party is telling the public, well, now that we are only two in a marriage that was, for 4 persons, we will now have to assess what will be the right thing to do. Now, that assessment might be they stay in the CPP or they leave the CPP. So let me explain the possibility of staying with the CPP. It will be conditional. If the ANC makes a decision that is going to stay in the CPP, the Liberty Party arm of Mr. Musa Hassan Belete will stay.
You don't have two Liberty Party, Mr. CA.
I agree, Sekou. I'm saying that just for the audience to understand, right?
Okay.
But legally speaking, and may I emphasize that the Liberty Party is held by Musa Hassan Belete. That de facto Liberty Party is not a legal Liberty Party. It is just a faction. So the Liberty Party will decide what it's going to do, right? ANC is also contemplating whether it should maintain the CPP, because the CPP, technically speaking, politically, is left with the ANC. Because only the ANC have had candidate for the CPP standing bearership, right? And then Liberty Party, didn't put a candidate. It didn't have any interest. So it is the ANC now that has a decision to make whether or not their candidate, Mr. Cummings, would rather run as a CPP candidate, despite all that happened and what may even happen. That is the decision of the ANC to make. And this is the Liberty Party saying, because we stand with the ANC, and that is my interpretation, we will have to decide, should the ANC decide to stay, should Cummings decide to run on the ANC ticket, we have to decide whether we're staying with them and supporting the CPP. Because they mention in there that the objective of the opposition must be achieved. Either way it will be achieved, they will support it. And we know that the Liberty Party, under Mr. Belete's leadership, is supporting Mr. Cummings. So if Cummings decides that, I'm going to leave the CPP and form a coalition, I am sure the Liberty Party will follow to give their support to Mr. Cummings. That is basically what the Liberty Party is saying within this particular statement. Simple and clear. And it's also good to provide some context here. Mr. Cummings and the ANC has also made it public that they too are studying the the possibility of staying in the CPP or leave the CPP and put an arrangement together. They are very clear about that. They are not definite as to what to do. The reason they're not definite is that the brand CPP, they believe many people will still come around when it is savage, when it is maintained. They believe that there are some people who feel that that CPP must survive and that they can bring other political parties to that CPP to make it viable again. They think that is a possibility. Their only fear is these guys that left the Unity Party and the ALP, the way they left legally is not a way to leave the CPP if you look at the CPP framework. So these guys can come and bite them. So they have been very careful here. Should we stay? Can these guys come? Because just their announcement that we're leaving legally does not constitute that they are gone legally. So they have been very careful because they know what they're going through now, they're in court. So the ANC is studying that possibility. So the Liberty Party too, under Mr. Musa Hassan Bedete leadership is saying we are also studying it. Whether we stay with the CPP or we leave the CPP, and we'll leave when Cummings leave, we'll stay when Cummings stay. And that is my interpretation based on my reading of things, because these two political, Mr. Bility and Mr. Cummings, they have a very strong relationship. I don't see how that will fall apart anytime soon. I think Mr. Bility wants to see Cummings elected as president. For him, politically, that is his interest. He has made it clear. He has never hidden a feeling about this. He thinks Cummings is the best guy for Liberia. I don't see him thinking about running to be a vice president. I'm not ruling it out, but that is how I feel. I don't think that is his goal yet. He just wants to see somebody he believes can become a better president, elected as president. Whichever way that's going to happen, he will provide leadership on the part of his party to support that. I think that is what they're saying right there.
Thank you so much, Mr. C. Yes, Chairman Dole, what is your take on this this particular?
Yeah, I mean, and Anthony put it right. The CPP is a brand by itself. And the brand, our Liberians, the voters in Liberia, they are very, very interesting kind of voters, right? So there are many of them who will be very empathetic to the brand CPP. They don't care who bears the bearer of the CPP, but as far as they're concerned, many persons who I've talked to back home, they say, they have this kind of disgruntled about why the CPP can't work. Why is it can't work? So, like Anthony said, if the CPP, like I say, it's a brand. So I don't see, first and foremost, I don't see the ANC leaving the CPP. I don't see the Liberty Party leaving the CPP. They can go to the convention and review it, but I don't see that happening, right? Because to do that is sense of bad signal. What I think will happen, is to bring other people on board to the CPP and make it vibrant and viable, and then the messaging can be like, well, since the people left and the way in which they left, there can be another propaganda to say, well, they left illegally, so it is incumbent upon us, because that is what the Liberian people wanted as a CPP. So we want to assure them again that yes, even though these people left illegally, they left on the basis of XYZ for their personal interest, whatever you term it. But the fact is that we stay here and we're going to bring other institutions on board to make this process work. And so if that happens, yeah, a lot of the people being solidarity with, they will be in solidarity with the CPP, and those who will be fronting the survivability of the CPP, and to see how it can be able to work in 2023. So that's going to be the issue right there. So most of them, there's going to be a lot of impact. There's going to be a lot of because here's the thing, there are most Liberians out there who saw the CPP as a vehicle to unseat George Weah. That has not changed. That might have sent a different signal about the way in which things are being done right now. Unity Party left, ALP left, and then with all the letter coming into the public domain and all of that. But it still remains a viable institution that many out there look up to as an institution. So if Cummings and Liberty Party can make that work, can build it and make it more formidable, even better than what it was when ALP and Unity Party were in there, I can assure you they're gonna be a serious force with the CPP, with Cummings, Liberty Party, ARCO, and all the other different institutions coming on board. So again, it speaks to leadership, right? So Cummings, Liberty Party, and the other people, that board is in their code. That leadership is incumbent upon them to make that work and to bring other people to that institution to make it work. You know, because what will happen eventually? Some people left illegally. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but if the CPP is built by Cummings and Liberty Party, and they bring other people on board, ARCO and other people that come on board and become vibrant, I can tell you for a fact, the Unity Party and the Liberty and the ALP, they will have no chance. They will have absolutely no chance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kane. What is your take on this?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I agree with both gentlemen here. This is just to reaffirm that they are going to move on with the Liberty Party, with or without the Unity Party and the ALP. I think this is just both parties trying to reassure the public that CPP is a brand. And when you speak of politics in Liberia of late, when you think of parties, you want to think of CDC and CPP. All the other ones, come in play when you want to dig deeper. But from the look of things, you always want to think CPP or CDC. So that brand has been created, and not only being created, it has been tested, and there was a result. You saw it. CPP, not only brand being created, but it has been tested. You saw it in 2022 election. That is still in people's mind. So when it comes to opposition in Liberia, people will talk about CPP. Opposition, CPP. Good or bad, whether they are doing the right thing or not, they are fighting among themselves. But when you speak of the government, the next thing that comes on your mind when you think of opposition is the CPP. So I believe this is about people trying to reaffirm their position to say, hey, whatever happened in the past, we are going to be within the you saw the language in the previous segment we were talking about when they said they want to make sure that the opposition succeed. And the reason for which CPP was created in the first place was considered as the only way to unseat George Weah. But I just want to make something clear here, Steve. I think it's very important before we move to the next thing. So, like I said, I agree with both gentlemen here on their own analysis in that direction. But the idea that Musa Bility can be vice president, can or cannot be vice president, I think I need to expand on that a little, just maybe like 1 or 2 minutes. Here's why. It's very important. Somebody will say, nobody can put Musa Bility on their ticket for vice president. What is the disqualifier? What disqualifies Musa Bility for becoming even president of Liberia? If Charles Taylor, who kills everybody, who was behind, who was the main architect of killing 250,000 people, became president, you say you came on, you came apart. What crime is more than killing your fellow citizens? Became president. So Musa Bility can be vice president. What about Joa Howard Taylor, the wife of Charles Taylor? People that killed other people. What about Vice President Joseph Boakai, who just served for 12 years and said that they squandered opportunity? If you can go around and say Barkham will be president, what is the disqualifier of Musa ability? And politics is about number, it's about money. What do you bring to the table? It's what matter.
Prince Johnson.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Prince Johnson, not only running for president, but Prince Johnson being elected twice as senator. And even if he runs tomorrow, his people are still going to vote for him. Prince Johnson is in the Senate making decision on behalf of the Liberian people. You are fine with that, but Musa ability can be the Musa. I think it is his right to decide what to run for, what not to run for. And it is the Liberian people to make the decision as to who they want for what position. It's not just the handful of people, handful of little mind and tribalists, tribal bigots who always tread on that line. Those kind of things can get to me. Because the thing is, when you look at it, you ask yourself, so those who are saying that this person can be, what is the disqualifier? What is the reason? What is that? What are some of the driving factors behind it that people are saying this person can be this? Or simply because he's Mandingo man or because he's a Muslim? That's sickening. So I think let's talk about politics. Let's talk about people, what they bring to the table, what they are capable of doing, and their record. Is this man being convicted for committing a crime in Liberia? Based on that, you think he can be qualified to run for something? Is this man kill people or kill somebody? Because of that, you think he's not qualified to be something? My point to say that Musa ability support for Mr. Cummings is not predicated squarely on becoming somebody. I think what we have heard from Musa ability, he believes the problem Liberia has right now, he thinks Cummings is the one that can change Liberia. With or without Musa ability being vice president, I think we should reserve, we should give Musa ability his right to be whatever or whosoever he wants to be. People should stop, disqualifying people without giving any genuine reason, to say this person can be this. You can't get any genuine reason, but simply because the hidden agenda behind those statements is because this man is a Mandingo man, is a Muslim man, he can be vice president. Or if you put Musa ability that you will not win. Mandingo people are Liberian too. And they have number. They have money. Yes. They can collaborate with other Liberians. If Musa ability can be anything. If Chancellor can be something. If Prince Johnson can be something. If George Bolle can be something. Musa ability committed no crime. As of yet, I'm not saying one. Unless you tell me. So let's not tread on those lines.
Let's stay. I want to suggest that we stay on this topic that or secretary profile because it's important for us to discuss it. Let's just move to the next one because I have something to say in that direction as well.
Yes, say what you have to say really quick. And Sonny will
okay.
Take the next 1 or 2 minutes. You got 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay.
1 or 2 minutes.
So like I'm from the beginning of this, I put out 4 theories, but in line with what Sekou just said, that's a hypocrisy I don't like on social media, and many of our young people on social media and many of our stakeholders, in our ballot politics. It's the hypocrisy I don't like. It's the hypocrisy. I one person I call Musa Ability most of the time. But most of the thing about Musa, and he put it right. It's not an issue. It's not an issue. It's not on the basis of policy. It's on the basis of criminality. It's on the basis of trouble. You deny a man because he's a Mandingo man or because he's a Muslim man and so forth. That is insane. That is insane. You can you support a Joseph Boakai, right? You support a Joseph Boakai who have been in our body politic for 50 plus or more years, who Amos Sawyer, the late Amos Sawyer, you know, suspended, who has all the records, all some of the bad and good records in our body politics. You don't have a problem with supporting him. Who has nothing to show in Lofa County. You don't have a problem with supporting him. But you got problem with somebody who can be, who goes to Nimba County and can have something to show to the Nibalians and other people. You know, the hypocrisy in our body politics, it speaks volume. And especially, even how they call it, my big brother, my family, who I admire so dearly, the progressive brother. But every regime, he's in it. Every regime, Manasali, he's there as a secret advisor. Whatever happened in the country, he doesn't even talk. He doesn't even say the word. But he comes after everything said and done. Them, some of the progressive brothers go on social media and praising him. If you praising a man who have been in a regime, who the government receive billions of dollars in foreign direct investment, but you can't see anything to show for it. But after the government has time like expired and you come back and praising him, then you might be insane. What makes it so different from other people who looted the country? What makes him different?
Thank you.
So I mean, it's just a hypocrisy among our stakeholders in the country when it comes to our body politics. That is kind of one about us. So just to conclude that Musa Ability, like I said, yeah, me just want a few minutes, few seconds. Musa Ability has the right to be president, vice president in the country if he wants to. If he wants to. My only thing I said to him, listen, I mean, if Cummings can manage his ambition, you know, and say, listen, we had a prior discussion, and the prior discussion, I want to manage, as a leader, I want to manage your ambition so it can have a spillover effect. That is left with Cummings and the ANC. But the fact is, he has the right to say whatever he wants to be.
Thank you. Asoni, do you have anything you want to add up to that?
Yes, Steve, you know, this subject about tribalism in our country, Sekou used the word sickening. I agree with him, it's sickening. And sometimes it's more so because people don't want to understand our history. Mandingo people are Liberian people too. And we need to understand that. I have no idea where they has come from. Is it because we have Mandingo people in Ivory Coast? Then I want to say to you, there are Kru people in Ivory Coast too. So if we treat Mandingo people just because some of us assume that maybe they are from Guinea or they are from Ivory Coast or they are from Mali, Kru people, the Bawle people in Ivory Coast, they are Kru. And there are other tribes, the Manon, you can find them in those countries too. So I don't know where it's coming from. I just don't know. We only can remind our brothers and sisters that you are not more Liberian in any shape and form than the Mandingo man or the Mandingo woman. They are equally Liberians. And I will go further to say, to piss some people off, that Mandingo people have even contributed more to Liberia. If you go to the history, the establishment of the country, contributing to Liberia economic survivability. The Mandingo people are business-minded people. It's just a fact. And you have to accept that because that's what it is. So this thing here is sheer foolishness and ignorance on the part of Liberians who feel. I have a friend from the same town who told me, no, I'm not a Mandingo man. We can't name Mandingo man. I said, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? So look, I mean, I always try to be as strong as can be on this particular subject. This is foolishness. This thing costs us lives.
Makes no
It
sense.
contributed to the conflict, and we need to stop that. Musa Bedete got the right as a Liberian to run for any office, and the Liberian people got the right to decide who they want. It is the Liberian people who will decide. And it should not be a single Liberian, to say, oh, this man is not qualified. So, Sekou, to your question, there is no disqualifier. There's no disqualifier constitutionally for Musa Belete. He is a Liberian who got the right to run for office. What I said was, I have not seen in this arrangement where Musa is, positioning himself to want to run as vice president to anybody. What I said, I think from what I've heard from him, he wants to see Cummings elected because that's the person he believes, and he's doing everything. That does not mean that he does not have that ambition, but that is what I think. And I think he's qualified.
And thank you very much for answering my question. My question was, what is the disqualifier? And if you take this question to the whole world, I'm talking about the Liberian world now, not one person will tell you tangible reason, legal reason for which he or she would think that Musa Belete is not qualified to run.
Because it does not exist. That's just simple. It does not exist. That's all. It does not exist. There's no reason that exists that suppose that theory.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah. So people, let me make this clear before we go back to the host here. People should always, and I've always tried to tell people, let's discuss the issue. Let's focus on issue. Let's disqualify people based on their history, on their record. What do you think? If you think Bawkai can be president, tell me the reason why Bawkai is not qualified to be president. If you think Cummings is not, can be president, tell me why. But stop all those little things, that can really create animosity among ourselves. And get this clear. The more we tread on those lines, the more you rejuvenate the spirit of other people. Because you know what? Liberia is one country, take it or leave it. Everybody will always stand with their own.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Before we go to the next topic, I'd like to put my 1 or 2 cents in here. We'll go straight to the next part because we have to keep in time here. All of you said something that is very important. If you look at everyone that defected from the CPP, if you listen to everyone that wants the CPP destroyed, the first thing they talk about, they don't talk about the political leaders of the political party. The first thing they tell you is the CPP is dissolved. Go think about it. They want to kill the brain, that the brain they are after. As evidenced by that, even Joseph Yuma Bawkai lied to the Liberian people a few weeks ago that they've come to the decision that they will dissolve the CPP. He lied to the Liberian people on that. Joseph Bawkai, who I don't know if he ate it or he passed it. I'm not sure where it is, but that one it is what it is. But let me say something about this whole. So this idea of killing the CPP brain, because it's been registered into the Liberian people's head, consciously and subconsciously, that this is the party that brought, this is the group that brought redemption to them. 2020 elections, the senatorial elections. That brain, they want to get rid of it. Listen to all the propagandists. They're not in touch with reality. They tell you, we left the CPP. They even leave legal and say they left. Oh, the CPP is dissolved. No more CPP. And you're not just dissolve the CPP. Have you not heard them call that the CPP should be dissolved? Because they understand. They understand the importance of that. So the Liberty Party is saying that they're going to revisit the decision on the CPP, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. They can go to the convention and decide. But let me say something about this whole Maningo and something. Let me say this. All the noise that we're making, I blame our Maningo brothers and sisters, or our Muslim brothers and sisters. I blame them. I will say here today, I blame them. This foolishness will not be happening if they had taken some radical, strategic steps to send a message to this bunch of Islamic phobic who are in Liberia. Where were the Christians when Lord Rebel were fighting Charles Taylor and they insisted that they would not leave the town that Charles Taylor leave? Where were the Christians? Where were the Christians? That Christian blood was wasted? That Christian fought to move Charles Taylor? You know how many Maningo people were killed? You know how many Muslim people were killed? You think that they are Liberians? They fought for the country? These ignorant people who are in Liberia, who bring the division, when you want to talk about it, say, oh, let's not talk about it. Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about it, the whole tribalism thing. Listen, this is all about Christianity and Muslim thing. That's what they're on. They're afraid. The last time, Then you see this bunch of crooks and criminals who call themselves pastors, bishops, and men of God gather together, choke their necks, bunch of hungry, begging men, grown-up men that all they've been passing from regime to regime, begging people, talking about, oh, if you give Muslim holiday, and there will be war. All of these people who they call advocate, did you hear anyone of them say anything? When they want the Muslim people vote, then the Muslim people are Liberians. But I blame the Muslim people. I blame my brothers and sisters who are Muslims and who are Maningos. I blame them. This nonsense got to stop. And the only way it will stop is when you guys take a decision that it costs you to boycott the market, close your stores. Let them go bring the full out and Lebanese people. Let's see how much they can provide. Let's see. You know who has been sustaining the economy in our country? Do you know how much the Muslim community contribute? Sometimes some of them don't even go to the mosque on Friday because they have to make sure things are running in the country. And you want to sit down time for them to come to prominence and to power to you deny them. Why Alhaji Nkrumah and other people never begin senator and other things? Only because they are Muslim. That's all. You have all these criminals that sitting over there. They vote for them. They vote for them on a daily basis. When Muslim men won't come to power, they try to go in the secret. Listen, they go into the churches and make it low there. That's and God said, and God said. God never said nothing like that. You don't understand the Bible. You guys are brainwashing our people and you offer some bunch of nonsense. These people have sacrificed as well. We can't do this. This is wrong. The same thing how we talk about racism in this country. It's the equivalent to what we are doing in our country. So yes, Musa Hassan Belete. Musa Belete has the right to run for any office he wants to run in. And if that time comes, he wants to run. And I feel he's the best person seated for that time, and I want to support him, I will support him. I have supported people who are Muslim, and I will support people who are Muslim. If you bring a good candidate, you bring someone that are well-meaning for the Liberian people, I don't care about the trap. You're carrying out your Islamophobic somewhere else. You're going to go to the, when you, okay, say Muslim people that are bad people, why you can go buy from them? So when you even go to the extent of crediting for the Muslim people, no shame. Oh, you go, why you can go to church to go credit? Why you can go there to go credit? So we must have these conversations openly like this, and we must keep it 100% to one another. This is absolutely wrong. This is absolutely wrong. We cannot pass around. Josiah Yuma Bwaga that sin. If you say Josiah Yuma Bwaga was not the one that ran the country for 12 years, that's going to opportunity, and he supported Ellen, who is a criminal 100%. So who is he by extension? He's a criminal too. He is a criminal too, by extension. So what are you guys talking about? You pass around whole day. You want to alienate people, isolate people because of their religion. Musa Belete was born to say, oh, you won't be Muslim. The time you were born, he said you won't be Muslim. You were born to say you won't be Christian, and they born you in a Christian family. Did you choose that? So what's wrong with our people? So again, I'm saying to my Muslim brothers and sisters, y'all be sitting now, y'all be playing your account. Y'all get the number, y'all get the power, y'all letting fully people manipulate you and bring out foolishness. I blame y'all. All this Muslim holiday thing, if you guys were standing up and shutting down businesses and ensuring that the economy is impacted, they got to put themselves together to behave. I don't want to say it. You take a radical and strategic move in our country. These guys will approve that thing in the twinkle of an eye. You're supposed to be begging for your own right in your country. When you go to Guinea, they isolate you. You go to the other place. Your own country. Let's move to the next topic. Y'all be saying that. Y'all be saying that. Me, I own that thing with you.
And you're right, Steve. And you're absolutely right. That's the bottom line. You're
right.
The hypocrisy in our country is just too much. They find every way to divide up. But then when it comes to election, you want the people to go vote for you to make it president, make it vice president. But they're not qualified to be vice president. But they will give you the number. They're not qualified to be president, to be vice president. You don't have the number. You qualified to be vice. I don't understand.
I blame my Muslim brothers and sisters. I blame nobody. I'm believing about it.
But like you said, if the Muslim, and I'm one person, I don't see any religion. I see group of Liberians as one. I don't see any religion. Period. You can cost me whatever you want to call me. I don't see any religion. If the Muslim people say tomorrow, they're not. If they demand and say we want our holiday, and they get in the street and close all that store, let's see where the food will come from.
Exactly.
Let's see where it come from.
Look,
that's the bottom line. Because when we don't take Liberians are not used to taking proactive action. That's the reason why the Muslims, the people themselves, they just sit and just watch, and people say they got it in the house there, it really lingering all around the place. They can't pass the law. It's just over there.
Look, let me tell you something. No transportation running.
That's the bottom line.
You do that thing for 3 days. No store opening. Nobody, no Muslim person coming to the market. Everybody say that inside. Let's see if they will not behave. They will not fall in line. These people will fall in line. Y'all be saying that you don't take radical move. We just work with the government. We just do that. Fine. Let's be working with the government. Me, I get problem with it. But let's move to the third one. On this third agenda, the road to 2023. This is what is written: expulsion of Liberty Party officials. In November and December of 2021, LP suspended several of its officials for failure to pay membership dues as required in line with Article 4 of the LP Constitution. The officials were given 90 days to remedy their deficiencies, and constitutionally required and notified of sin. The 90-day period has expired to date. The suspended officials have not remediated the deficiencies. As such, the LP has voted to remove the following suspended officials from their positions in the Liberty Party in line with the Constitution. Let me read their names. Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence, political leader, legislative caucus member. Senator A.B. Darius Delon, vice chair for political and legislative affairs, legislative caucus member. Daniel Sando, vice chair for press and public affairs. Augustine Fredericks, vice chair for internal party and NEC affairs. Augustus Coker, vice chair for auxiliary services. Prince Toll, vice chair for mobilization. Clara Edward Tume, NEC eminent member. Mr. Makate Ware, NEC eminent member. Ms. Priscilla Cooper, NEC eminent member. Mr. Deborah Allen, NEC Advisory Council Chair, NSC representative to NEC. Mr. Jacob Smith, NSC National Advisory Council member. Mr. George Gebu, County Chair, Grand Basso. Mr. Eugene Ta, County Secretary, Grand Basso. Mr. Romeo Coco, County Chair, Monserrato. Augustine Naimu, County Chair, sorry for bullshit, County Chair, Secretary, Monserrato. Senator Steve Zago, the senator I told you he will get phony face on this platform. I told you he will get phony face. Senator Steve Zago, legislative caucus member. Senator Jonathan Capier, legislative member. Representative Bashu, hence Bashu, legislative caucus member. And just for the record's sake, the following persons have resigned from their position in the party, and the party has accepted their resignation. Miss Elif Gonglo Wule, eminent person. She's the only person that resigned. So that means
Two people.
Miss Elif Gonglo Wule.
And another
I'm
person.
not seeing the other name. Please, if you have the other
Nathaniel
name.
Barnes.
Nathaniel Barnes.
Nathaniel Barnes to resign.
Nathaniel Barnes.
Okay,
Nathaniel Barnes. Yeah.
Okay, Nathaniel Barnes. So,
Yeah.
based on this reading, what does it say about this? What does it say about the leadership of the Liberty Party? Are we expecting a change? What does it also say about the future of Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence and Darius Delon? Because these are key people. That's critically important that we zoom in on both of them for the road to 2023. Chairman, let's start with you.
So here is my thing. I think it's sad that the Liberty Party, people who want to be leaders of the country, do not want to respect the laws of the country. The Liberty Party zooming on those persons to pay the dues that is due the party, not what you have done as a party individual. When partisan goes to you, you getting low stopping, you getting low transportation. But what is legal as per the party, constitution, and those persons were reached out to make good of their payments, and they've refused. The legal time frame was 90 days, has expired, and Belete is just certifying the requirement of the constitution. So what he's doing is putting them on records that listen, by the party constitution, they should be taken off the position. And once they don't pay, the next thing is they cannot just, expect they have to go to a party, the special convention that is pending. They will take a decision to expel all those persons. Again, like I said, people who want to lead the country, as a simple requirement as the constitution of their own party, they cannot live up to that expectation. It's just sad, but at this point, of course, those persons we have to, they'll have to bear the full consequences of the LP's constitution, because that's what it says. If you don't pay your due and you waiting 90 days, they give you that notification. If you don't meet up with requirement, you'll be taken off a position. The next thing that follow is expulsion from the party. And so that's exactly what Belete is doing. The Belete and the NEC, I mean the National Executive Committee, that's exactly what it's doing. It is not Belete's decision as an individual. He just signed the document that was endorsed by the National Executive Committee. Now you must know the National Executive Committee, the Standard Bearer is the former Vice Standard Bearer is on that committee as well. Honorable Harry Conway and a lot of other people on that National Executive Committee. So they took a decision that those persons did not meet up, did not meet the requirement for the 90 days, and so they must exit on the position. And then following the exit of the position, if they're not remorseful, they will be expelled the party. And that's exactly what is happening. And so for 2023, as an implication, listen, on the political side, all of those persons, they've been fighting the Labour Party, they've been fighting Belete from day one. For whatever reason, up to them, right? Especially for Dillon and Yombi Kanga. The two of them have teamed up, have convinced people like Steve Zago and all the other guys. I don't know how they did it when they just nipped Steve Zago just a couple of months earlier, and I be telling Steve Zago, I'm like, why are you allowing people to use you up and down the Labour Party? Why are you expecting to use you? Why are you doing this? But again, 2023, the party constitution is the constitution. And so if the Liberian people don't want to, if you don't want to have a country, you want to run a party where you will not respect the constitution because you have empathy for Yombi Kanga and Dillon, it's up to them. But the fact is, the rule has to apply to every person across the party line. What are you, Yombi Kanga? What are you, Dillon? What are you, Steve Zago? What are you, whoever you are? The party constitution is the constitution. It must be adhered to. And so that's exactly what's happening. 2023 is that speak to the fact that it will be a battle line drawn, and that battle line is just what has been drawn by the Labour Party and headed by the Musa Belete and the National Executive Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Sear, what say you, and especially in light of the political future of Senator Yombi Kanga Lawrence, Senator Darius Dillon, and Senator Jonathan Kapie and Steve Zago, considering both of them, the term should be out 2023. Who would endorse them if the Labour Party wouldn't endorse them? Would they run as independents and so forth? Because we have to take all of these factors into consideration.
Yeah, to start with that, right? So if they don't secure the blessing of the party to run on a party ticket, the only choice and option they will have will be to run independent. Okay. We know that the political party, Liberty Party, is headed by Musa Hassan Belete as its chairman and acting political leader legally, because Yombi Kanga Lawrence, who has been political leader, now has been expelled from the party. So the fact that the individuals you name, the two individuals, they are on the other side and they are not with the Liberty Party as we know it to be legally, that is the only option that we have. You're asking for the future of Darius Dillon and Yombi Kanga Lawrence. Senator Dillon is already enjoying his future. He won as senator of Monserrado County, and he has 9 years. That is a future. I want to have 9 years of doing nothing and getting the kind of money DeLon is getting. I mean, who would not want that? But that is not what I would want. If I would want that, I'll have to work for it and not just sit by and do nothing other than just going live and getting paid. Do you know that Senator DeLon now is a talk show host? He got his equipment. He's a talk show host. He's live. He have a headset. Nothing wrong with that. That is the man right. I mean, what kind of serious senator? We have all these media platforms around. So if you're talking about DeLon's future, stop laughing. That is a future for him. So after 9 years, if he will not get elected again, he can become a talk show host like Sekou, like me, right? And then we'll tell him this thing and no money in it, Senator. So DeLon has a future. Now let me come to Senator Lawrence. Senator Lawrence too has a future. All right, she's a senator. That is future. I mean, they are in. I don't know. Should I put them in the 50s or maybe, like that? So they have a future and they are senators. But politically and on a serious note, if you are talking about what future will they play in a possible new government other than a CDC regaining power, I don't know. I don't know what that future, because they have all shown now that they are supporting Mr. Joseph Yimam Boaka. They believe Mr. Boaka has a better chance of making it to the second round and ultimately defeating President George Weah. That is what these two leaders believe. Until they can change course to support somebody else, I think they see a future in Boaka, and we can only wish them well. This is politics. The people have to decide. We can wish them well that Mr. Boaka wins. And if Mr. Boaka wins, of course, they will secure position like being a chairman on leadership. Maybe DeLon can become pro tem, or Nyomli can become pro tem. So these people have the best future they could ever ask for in their entire lifetime. In addition to DeLon being a talk show host, should Boaka win, he will head a consequential committee. And Nyomli too, we know that Nyomli is deciding to run with Joseph Yimam Boaka for VP slot, right? So when Boaka wins, or if Boaka wins, Nyomli will become VP. So they really have future. And I'm not being comical about this. I've been serious. They definitely have a future. The Liberia we're talking about here, Steve, I live by this philosophy that anything is possible. I'm strong about it. Anything is possible. So if you're asking for a future, they actually do have a future. Now let me come to the suspension thing. Brother, this suspension of the expulsion, of Nyomli and DeLon for non-due payment speaks quite loudly, with the highest volume ever, that these people are in politics for what they get and not to execute the responsibility they are privileged to have. They can't pay their dues. Senators, didn't we see the checks they have been collecting? 5,000, 25,000 for accessibility and the rest, and they can't pay their meeting dues. They were informed that they were in this area. Their constitution is clear that failure on your part to pay, you will be suspended for a period of 3 months. And that 3 months, you should be able to pay. And failure on your part, you will be expelled from the party. Yet, these senators who are making the most attractive salary of all in our country will refuse to not pay their dues. Why they refuse, we may ask. Is it because they feel that the person, Musa, who is in charge of the party, or the National Executive Committee is not in the right to ask them for their dues? I mean, this is Liberty Party now. This is the political party that stands on this foundation of rule of law. The simplest thing for rule of law is to at least pay your dues now. Come on. You want to be leaders and you want to tell other people to pay their taxes in the country and you can't pay your dues? So what moral ground got you now to be able to tell anybody in the party to even pay their meeting dues? And DeLong at some point was saying that, well, meeting dues payment is not the only thing that can make one to be in good standing with the political party. DeLong, you will go on that justification mission, that Doda's friend. So this was DeLong telling us, even if I don't pay my dues, as far as I attend meeting, I am a political, vice president for political affairs / to legislative and blah, blah, blah. I'm in good standing. I don't necessarily have to pay my money to be in good standing. Come on, DeLong. You can't be serious. Again, it speaks to how these leaders are not leaders in the true sense of leadership. They are there for what they get and what they get on it. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Sia. Mr. Kane, just before we go to the phone line, take only 5 calls. We'll take 5 calls today.
All right. Yeah, first of all, again, Anthony got me, cracking up, So, yeah. So, yes, indeed. I really like the analysis from both gentlemen, especially when it comes to this suspicion thing. I want to make something clear here.
Expulsion.
That's what I'm going to talk about now. They said expulsion, but they did not expel the people. At least per this document.
Mm-hmm.
The headline says expulsion. But then they said the following persons are being removed from their position. They didn't say have been expelled from the party. I want you to pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
The right expulsion, when I was reading it, I thought I would have seen something that would say following people have been expelled from the party. And let me say this again. I hope, I wish we didn't come to this. I think we said it over and again that I would really love to see Liberty Party coming together to resolve the problem. But once it gets to this point, you got to be clear about what you're saying or what you're doing. Yomli Kanga Lawrence, her position as a standard bearer, as a political leader, is saying she's no longer a political leader because it makes all the problem. We said Yomli stayed a political leader. But now that the party have decided to remove her, whether legally or not legally, but if the party decided to do that, we in public, we will see it like that. But when you say expulsion, and then you went on to say the following people have been removed from their position, and nothing in there that I saw that speak of expulsion beside the headline. So, in short, from my understanding, the misplaced the word expulsion in this regard. You misplaced it because you said
I don't want to interrupt you, but let me interject. You will continue, brother.
Go ahead.
The Constitution is being quoted. Article 9. It states that when you don't pay your dues, you will be suspended. You'll be given 90 days to pay. Failure on your part to pay in that 90 days period, according to the Constitution, you are automatically expelled. Now, but they had elected position. They had elected position. So they are saying they are removed from their elected position based on the vote. They cannot vote on what the Constitution has spelled out clearly. So in my understanding, these people are expelled. Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you for that clarity. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to make our decision or base our understanding on the Constitution or the constitutionality of their expulsion, then you are 100% right. But if we're going to use this communication as a yardstick to make our the full opinion on whatever is going on, then we will say they will not expel. That's why I believe Mr. Dora was talking about they will be suspended, and if they don't do this, they don't do X, Y, and Z, they will be expelled, because it was not clearly spelled out in this communication. But what you're saying right now, by default, they are expelled by the Constitution. If the Constitution says you are automatically, if that is clearly spelled out in the Constitution, then definitely they are expelled. Then that brings me to another issue. So the vote that was just held by the Executive Committee of the Liberty Party, it was done purposely or squarely to remove them from the position they held in the party. Why would you worry about someone's position in the party when they're no longer a partisan? Because if they're automatically expelled, why worry about the position? You see my point, Anthony? Because their reason to come to the public was to educate or to inform the public that we have taken certain decisions on these individuals. And if by default these people already been expelled from the party, why come out and tell us that that they have been removed from their position when they are no longer a partisan? So for me, there are a lot of ambiguity in this particular write-up. And if we are lucky to have Mr. Ability on here on Tuesday, I would really love for some of you also to be around so we can ask these important questions as to what is really in it or what it really means to say. Because you put expulsion and then you say these following people have been removed from their position. You didn't say these people have been expelled from the party. But if they were expelled from the party by default, automatically by the Constitution, they were worried about their position if they're no longer in our policy. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
That's my observation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We just before we get to the lines here to take 5 calls. I will definitely chime in, and you guys will have the opportunity to give your closing statement very soon. But I agree to your point. Remember when I started talking about this document, I said whoever wrote this document has been around. But at the very last end, Mr. Kane, I see your point, and you're 100% correct. This shows a lot of confusion, but it tells me also that they're trying to play safe.
It was not on purpose, right?
Yes. Yes, it was intentional. They're trying to play safe, also to catch up.
And Steve, I think part of the thing is the National Executive Committee. I don't think they can remove. I may be wrong, but I don't think they can remove the standard bearer or spare the standard bearer, because standard bearer was elected at the convention by at the convention. So they can take off in a position, but to have her removed as a standard bearer, I mean as a political leader, that has to be, I think, a decision of the special convention. I think
Exactly. Exactly.
See, 1 second, Mr. Dora, let me just throw this question to you.
No, Nyamli was not elected as political leader.
Exactly. So let me say this. So let's forget about whether elected or not elected. But if we go by what Mr. Shea said, if you are automatically removed, expelled from the party, why wait for a convention? You're no longer in the party, so you hold no position at all. If the Constitution, if what Mr. Shea is saying is right, if that's what the Constitution says, it means that you are no longer in the party, let alone to talk about position.
I mean that goes to your point, because so the issue of the expulsion was mentioned, right? And the constitutional issue, the provision was mentioned in the document. But when you come down to the end of it, right? They're not specific about, you know, quoting, even though they quoted the Constitution, but they're not specific about, okay, Yombly and Delon and the rest of the other people, they've been expelled based upon the Constitution of XYZ. They're not being specific. You know, you can put expulsion and then write all the lines in there. In detail. I mean, you leave it vague, you leave it open, and then people say, okay, but what's the issue? So my thing, like you said, like CA said, but the fact is, again, CA makes a brilliant point. But that brilliance he talks about, he mentioned, it's not gonna, it's kind of more confusing, you know, because if you expel him, you will not come down and talk about membership. I mean, you know, taking it from the position when they already expelled. So that kind of confusing.
So that's why I said they left a lot of ambiguity within this writing,
right?
And I think whether they did it
and it's deliberate,
you know, deliberately or not, I think it leaves a lot of room, you know, to fill in, you know, by us, the pundits, people who, the political junkies, like us, say, you know, ourselves. Well, we can say, I mean, since they didn't do this, but this is, we can give our own interpretation.
Gentlemen, this is politics, right? If I can jump in, Sekou.
Yeah.
They needed to communicate
for
what has been done.
For 1 minute, we'll go to the lines.
Yeah. They needed to communicate what has happened.
Right.
Which other way could they have communicated it? Other than informing the public in a press statement that this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
They felt that they are on obligation here to inform the party of these leaders who are expelled based on their failure to meet a constitutional requirement. They needed to communicate it. And that's why they said the headline was expulsion. And then they quoted the very article that expelled them. The narrator that the Constitution said, if you don't pay your dues, you'll be suspended for 90 days. In that 90 days period, if you do not pay, you are expelled. They are quoting the Constitution. So these people are being expelled. Now, the remove part, they said they're removing them for their positions. And it was done through a vote by the NEC. Now, I'm not clear on that one.
Yeah.
But what is clear is that the NEC voted to remove them of their position, even though they are suspended, in my judgment.
No. Now, even though they're expelled, even though they're no longer part of the party, what people
so here's the thing that's here's the issue. Here's the issue before we go to the line. Please, here's the issue, guys. When they go to this convention that they're calling, this decision that have been made, these ideas that have been proffered, they are going to consummate them there. And they will come back to the public and let the public know that we are done with Yombly, we are done with Delon, and it is signed and sealed, no going back. That is why they left it hanging as to what they did. This is strategic, and this will be done. Expulsion, like Anthony said, they're expelled. Whether they like it or not, there is no way that can change. Now, the decision to remove them officially or together, watch and see the convention, what will happen. And we said this thing on this platform over and over. Don't take the risk. Don't play around with this thing because it will. And let me say something about the political life of Senator Yombly Kanga Lawrence and Senator Darius Delon and the rest of the people. Let me say this. Betting on Bwaka's presidency was a wrong move. The second wrong move was this. Senator Yombly Kanga not putting her heart in the race for the CPP chairmanship was a wrong calculation. It was a wrong calculation. She should have done that to come with leverage to the table. She should have done that from the get-go. The last part about this thing I want to also talk about, and we'll take our first caller here because I had this caller hold for a long time now, is
I've been calling you to about, just go ahead.
I will say this. If the Bwaka coalition holds, what leverage are they coming to the table with? What leverage are they coming to the table with? You don't have a political party. You might more likely not have a constituents because, as we are speaking, Musa Benete and the Liberty Party are making moves in Grand Basso. And more likely so they're going to succeed. So this thing puts them at a disadvantage. My honest advice to them, y'all find a way to go back to the table and redraw the team while the convention is coming. But let's take our first caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from, please?
Well, man, this Cyrus, as usual, calling from Minneapolis. I always the first in line.
Yeah, Cyrus, my man, what's
I
going on?
recommend my stock point and then just take my exit.
My man, the next time you know what we'll do, you know who plan to do? You know what
No.
SKTV has planned to do? We plan to capture, kidnap, and bring on the show by fire by force.
I know, right? We're scheduled. I'm always busy on the road, so I never home most of the time. That's why.
Yeah, what's your take on the conversation for today?
Well, for me, I'm just looking at the long-term implications, especially for 2023. And this thing is just, I think it plays the Georgia advantage being an incumbent with the disarray, the CPP, because the CPP, like Doda said, it was a brand. It was like a cavalry, you know, people in poverty and people, the country going down the wrong path. And people heard about the CPP, like this brand was coming to rescue them from the claws of Georgia, only for all to get a complete opposite. And I think it worse than where it used to be. Because, here's the thing. Like I keep telling folks on the show, the CPP came into being on a wrong motive. It was about coronating Joseph Boakai. There was never anything called CPP. That was the intent of the CPP. That if you come into this coalition, Joseph Boakai is already the presumptive nominee. Whether you come into this place, you can either be second, third, fourth, or fifth. At the end of the day, that's why it was all about. It was never meant to be a challenge. It was meant to be a coronation of Joseph Boakai. Until one guy said no, it's a toss-up, which happens to be Cummings. We are going to fight for this thing and see who's the last person standing. That's when the problem in the CPP started. Look, humans that live in America here, people can support different candidates in the same party. We saw it in 2008. The Clintons versus the Kennedys. The Kennedys were for Obama. Bill Clinton supported his wife. Yeah, there can be internal wrangling within a party, but you don't take it to this level, especially with the general election right on the horizon. I mean, come on, we're less than a year and a half away from an election. You can't even build the momentum now. And you think it's cascading to the Liberty Party from Joseph Boakai and Cummings to Nyobli Kanga and Dillon and to the Musa Belete. I mean, if you look at it from a bigger picture standpoint, what become the voters? Those people who are not sophisticated enough, like we call them, that are about to make decisions for the country, and they're seeing these things happen within the CPP. Tell me what's going to happen on election day. We might get a same 2017 repeat that a good segment of the population or the voters deciding to stay home, which will also play to Georgia advantage again. Because Steve Bolin, like I always tell you, from 2005 to now, only 3 of every 10 voters vote for CDC. The problem of the opposition is not that we don't have the number to beat. We can beat Georgia any given day at any moment in time. The thing here is you just cannot have the opposition to work together as a coherent force. We saw it with Darius Dillon. We saw it during this senatorial midterm election. The CPP was a formidable brand, and we saw the outcome. My thing here is, with all this internal fight, whether Cummings fake or document, whether it's the wrangling within the or Liberty Party, whether it's the break between Cummings and Joseph Boakai, the question is, at what cost are you willing to risk this thing looking at 2023? Because I guess Georgia in a perfect position is going to put this thing out.
Thank you.
Liberian people will know how to vote, and you don't want to keep sending voters mixed messages as we get closer to the election, bro. They just won't do any good. And the fact is, already, you just saw the recent special election in 4 different counties. I told people that election was strategic because it never happened in one place. It happened in Bombing, which is the western part of the country. It happened in Bone County, the middle part of the country, Nema, the north, and I think in the southeast. But the result were the same. Can you imagine 4 different segments of the country, but the result was unanimous? What does it tell you? That the voter are turned off from the whole CPP saga. So whether we maintain the CPP brand or somebody can go and form another coalition, I just don't think it will have that magnitude like we saw like a year or 2 ago. I just don't see it. And Georgia will be in a better position again from what I'm saying with the 2 possibilities I just gave you. Either a lower turnout or people just decide, you know what happened, ain't worth it anymore. And Georgia might let it be the one to pull it off. That's how I see it for 2023. Okay. Because it just getting to the play of no return. You can't get people to work together. And I don't expect this guy who called himself professional. If you Cummings, you've been in corporate for more than 3 decades. Joseph Boakai, you've been in politics for as long as you can.
Steve, we're not hearing the man, though.
Be professional, cannot get into a room and rescue the Liberian people, then Georgia might as well become state for the presidency.
Okay.
That's just how I see it, bro.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry. All right. So we say how call us?
Yeah, I have a caller here, but I think let's try to, we're already over 2 hours. Let's try not to pass 2 hours, 30 minutes. Whatever we can.
Yes.
We
We got 4 more minutes.
Yeah, please.
4 more minutes. We're out of here. So,
if I may, I gotta give my closing.
Okay. Before you go, Anthony, please let's listen to this for
Okay.
last caller from my end here. 443. Last 4 digit is 0321. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Sekou and the rest of the panelists. This is Mr. Mawolo calling from Maryland.
Mr. Mawolo from Maryland. Mr. Mawolo, how are you?
I just want to commend your political acumen. A lot of people read stuff, especially these political stuff, and just take it for word value. There's a reason why in politics they call it political science. The problem with us is we got too many politicians and too few political scientists. This letter was, if I may borrow words from Mr. Kiatamba, was beautifully woven into a political tapestry that if you don't dissect it, you will not understand. If you join all the parts that you guys have just beautifully dissected, it ends up with what you said, Sekou. What is the Liberty Party telling Liberia? We are a well-oiled machine of political party that works on systems. And we will follow our rules. It has nothing to do with who is chairman or political leader or standard bearer. We are an organization that is running properly, and so everybody should respect our decision. That's why it says in the end. For people like Stanton Witherspoon and all these people that just jump off, emotionally to make that's what the whole message was about, to throw red meat out there and to expose people who have intent. And now they have exposed themselves. When all this willingness comes together, they will be made to look like fools. And thank you, Sekou, for being so smart to dissect this letter properly and educate our people. I always tell people who take the microphone, our nation is very highly ignorant. So when you take that microphone, please do your best to understand, to dissect, to get to the bottom of stuff, because when the people listen to you, they expect you to know. And don't give them your feelings, give them the truth. And I thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your critique.
Yeah, so let's take 1 minute to close up. Quick, everybody,
All right.
1 minute, please.
I'll go first. And gentlemen, throughout our looking for the Liberty Party Constitution.
They don't want to run away, so let you go.
Yeah,
first.
and you guys are saying there's a lot of confusion. And I want to maintain here that there's no confusion. They acted in line with their constitution. And let me read that constitution for you. And it's in Article 9. This is Section 7. Members who are not in good standing shall not be allowed to hold any office within the party. And if such member holds a position in the party, elected or appointed, she shall be suspended from the office by the neck. So the neck suspended them. You following? And they acted in line with the Constitution until she shall have resumed the status of member in good standing. That is when that person shall have paid their money. If after 3 months, such member is still delinquent and the member yet didn't pay the money, he or she shall be permanently removed from office.
Look at you.
No,
Permanently removed from office.
And
they also be expelled from office. All right. So this is to clarify everything. The Constitution says even though the person didn't pay the money, they will be expelled. but they need to be removed by the NEC. That is why the NEC acted. So they are expelled and they have been removed from their position based on the Liberty Party Constitution. We go to Article 9, Section 7. You will read that. It's clear and simple. My final thing here is that the whole CPP now has fallen apart. We have the Liberty Party and the ANC left in there. All along in this collaboration, the two parties that many Liberians have had problem with have been the Unity Party and the ALP.
Right.
Liberian people have been on the good side of the Liberty Party and the ANC because Unity Party were in power. The Unity Party did not serve well, and Benny Ure, because that is not a party, that is his club, and we know Benny Ure's record. So many Liberians who have loved this CPP to not have even had the Unity Party and the ALP in the first place. Indeed. So for them to have left now, and the brand name being a political, capital that anybody can use, the decision now is Cummings. The decision now is the Liberty Party through Musa Hassan Berete to decide whether they keep the brand, build it, solidify it, send the troublemakers out for them to move forward, or get out, build their own coalition and move on. That's the decision they are taking. And this letter is also speaking to that. Gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity.
And definitely tomorrow, as soon as we are continuing the conversation within the topic, so I will connect behind closed doors. We'll seize you again by fire, by force. Thank you so much for being on.
I thought you said Tuesday.
No, tomorrow we're on. Before Tuesday, the interview with Chairman Musa Berete. Tomorrow we are on one of our regular days.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we didn't finish the talking point for today. Thank you so much.
Again, I want to say thank you guys for the opportunity. I just want in my closing, I just want the government through Minister Tway and the rest of the other people. I know it was part of the talking point, but we didn't talk about it. But I just want to just talk about it in passing. In the world right now, the gas price, the only place that we know that gas price is about $6.48 is in Norway, and $6.37 is in Italy. That's the two countries that is expensive in terms of gas right now. So there's no need for Liberia to be selling gas at $10. That is just astronomical. That is just way wickedness, and the government hasn't even spoken about it. People that have spoken in the circle of government, I'm told that, and you got to investigate, I'm told that most of the guys who are like the Minister of Finance, Montana McGill, all the guys, they got share. They are dealing in the petroleum business as well. So they don't have the boss, they don't have the man to come up and speak to the issue. They hacking the gas price in the country. So I hope you guys can do an investigation on that. That's the information I'm getting. So I hope that our people can be able to. It already had a tough on our people in the country. There's no need to be so wicked like that and to put the gas price at $10 when it's not $10 across the world. It's $6 at max in Norway, Italy. Again, the CPP is sad that the voters are not at the other end of all that are happening in the country. And I just hope that, we'll do the best we can, like some CSA, CPP, Cummings, and the Liberty Party got the opportunity to build that particular brand and make it more viable and vibrant, so that at the end of the day, it can tell the Liberian people that yes, even though these people left illegally, the CPP for their own personal motive, but the CPP is still strong and vibrant, and we call on every Liberian to support the CPP moving forward in 2023. Again, comrades, I want to say thank you so much. As always, I'm available. Thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you so much. And Sekou, Moses, and Tel, thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you,
appreciate it. Mr. Kenneth, what's your parting comment here?
Yeah, my parting comment is to say, well done to you. You did a great show. This was a great show today by you. And I really enjoyed the conversation and the different analysis by these great gentlemen, and it was great. And I just want to make something clear that Mr. Dode just talked about. People who are saying that the CPP is dissolved, the CPP is no more, the CPP is destroyed. That's what exactly the people want to hear. And that's the message that they want to put out there. I think the CPP is not yet dissolved. I know that because we have not seen anything legally that will make me to believe that the CPP is destroyed. The CPP somehow did something to themselves, the way that we call self-inflicted wounds. They put some wounds on themselves. But can it be rejuvenated? I believe yes. So people should, or we should disabuse ourselves of the notion that the CPP is dissolved. CPP is an institution, legally registered. For it to be dissolved, it has to be legally dissolved.
Mhm.
That's how it works. So people should not be going around CPP. That's what they want, so that there will be no brand to compete with the current leadership. It should be about only CDC. And CDC is a collaboration. So there should be no other collaboration. And then collaboration that are going to be funded right now or to be created right now within the short period of time before the next election, we now have the brand, the name recognition, and the leverage that the CPP has. So I believe people who are trying to sell that notion, their objective is to make sure that the CPP, the name CPP, the brand CPP, should not exist. So there will be no competition. And I am for Liberia, and I will ask Cummings and other parties that are not part of the CPP to make sure that they keep the CPP together, even grow the CPP to restore the hope and aspiration of the Liberian people, so that we in the media, we can have a competition. We want to see competition. We don't want to see, one-way street. We want to see competition. So that's my closing comment, Steve. You did a great show today. This is very great. Usually do, but today was, Salim Pose pass mark. It was good, and I enjoyed it.
Yes, Mr. Kane, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to our guests, our listeners, and our viewers.
Oh, I can't go now. Now.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
Okay.
we're closing right now. Tomorrow we'll be on. Tuesday, by the grace of God, we'll also be on. We have Chairman Musa Ability here so that we have some of these conversations. Thank you for staying with us, for sticking with us. It's been a good afternoon. It's been a good Sunday as we start a new week. Stay out of trouble, stay blessed, and find yourself a good friend. Don't forget, we're on tomorrow, we're on Tuesday, and we're on Friday for mental health and wellness. Tomorrow we're on to finish up the rest of the talking points that we didn't finish. And your favorite girl, Lina Cole, will be on too. She'll be here tomorrow. Today, you saw how she came from church, so she did pop into to get her hat on. But find yourself a good friend. Bye.
You don't even know my story. You don't even know your story, oh yeah. Boy, you know, on the day, I be a loca. So moral. You post a new car on Facebook. But I so la la. You working better. Bluffing and acting jealous, say you photo. My advice for you in my way, I got to confess. Confession. You gotta confess. You must have the impression. Enjoyment. Got your blessing. Enjoyment. No more stressing. Enjoyment. Got your blessing. Enjoyment. No more stressing.
It's never gonna be another man trash, just another man treasure. Another man fool was another man poison. Got your good, according to your measurement. Got your good, according to your measurement.